Hey, let's do this. Chris, crowdfunding, news, hotness, upcoming, past week in review. Why am I slapping my hand? I don't know. Let's do this, right? I got nothing at the beginning here. So let's just go straight into it, right? Just like yesterday. Cold open, boom, shakalaka. What's going on? Leader Games, boom, out of nowhere. Dropping the Oath bomb. Yeah, Oath. Oath is getting an expansion sometime in the near future on Kickstarter, as their production gap happened after finishing up with the majority of arcs. As the designer diary states, you're going to get a little bit of something new called, well, Foundations. More stuff. Family lineage through quests and intrigue. Shape the foundations of your game in your new image. Hundreds of new cards and new systems. As, Cole goes over into the designer diary, he actually says, well, there were mechanisms that didn't fit in with arcs when I was designing arcs, and now I came back to Oath and they fit better in Oath. And this is going to be better at the lower player counts. Boom! You boys happy with this one? Yeah. Actually, one of you sent me a copy of Oath, which I'm still super grateful for, and it's a game I need to talk about more. But that's coming up, I would argue, probably in the summer. I would say, again, maybe before the end of quarter 2. Because, again, you don't drop this news that far out in advance, I don't think. Or at least a lot of people don't, right? But let's just stay with news dropping in terms of expansions, because that is the start of this video, thematically. Because we also just saw on the Twitter drop, the X drop, the dead name Twitter drop, right? Whatever. That Catacombs, Clank Catacombs from Direwolf is getting an expansion called Lairs and Lost Chambers. Bum, bum, bum. No details. Not even a Board Game Geek entry at the time of me filming this. So long and thin. People are already commenting on the box size. It looks long and thin, and then it doesn't have a whole lot of must not have this, must be sideboard that. Do you like Clank Catacombs? There was one that I picked up at retail. I got my second ever retail box to get shipping for free. I know, right? I've only done that twice in my whole hobby career. And I don't know. There was just something about it. It just was longer than I wanted. It was fine. I haven't gotten rid of it, but I haven't been eager to go back to it yet either, in that sense. So would an expansion change that for you? Especially when you have Otherwords compatibility with some of the previous expansions. And I believe with some of the expansions, they already can play up to 6, if I'm remembering this correctly. Or just saying maybe Clank in general. And this is a really, really, really well thought of game, folks. Right? This is the 125th game overall. Over freaking all on Board Game Geek, right? That, folks, is insane. I mean, comparatively, right? Oath is 305. Again, both highly well-acclaimed games. Interestingly enough, though, 7,000 ratings to 5,000 ratings. Oath to Clank. Anyway, but that's getting out there. And then Stonemeyer, Jamie teased on the Expeditions group for Facebook that expansion news for Expeditions would be shortcoming in the very near future of the hex-based move it, gather it, and choose 2 of your 3 actions to take on a turn-by-turn basis sort of style game. No Board Game Geek entry yet, again, at the time of me filming this. And to be fair, apparently there is an actual date on this. May 22 is going to be the reveal. And web store launch a few weeks later. Is it going to be, again, with all of these expansions, right? The reason why I like Oath the best in that sense is you're adding player counts lower. You're not making me pay for content of higher player counts. You've heard me criticize that with a lot of expansions nowadays. Oh, well, let's bundle a 5th or 6th player into the gameplay content and double the price of the cost it could have been. No! I don't want that. Or is it going to be better at the higher player counts? Is it going to be more streamlined? Is it going to have a better layout? I mean, the static layout of that game just kills me. And I guess greater sense of exploration as well. There's just, you can stop exploring halfway through once you get your engine built. So, I mean, I think it could be cool. At the same time, I mean, apparently there's people with copies in their hands. So Rahdo apparently teased that he has a copy of it. And so if Rahdo has it, I'd imagine other people of their usual cohort that they go with, like Thinker and Themer, and even Board Game Co. have one too along those lines. So I would imagine that around the time of that announcement, you'll probably see some content, I would imagine. So we'll see. I haven't even tried Wormspan yet. So, I mean, I'm going to wait and see on this one too. But is it going to be that enticing? Is it going to be, well, that intriguing? I don't have a clue. Because it's a little bit of a chore to get out. I like it, but I wasn't in love with it as a base game. So we'll see. The other thing that we just now getting news of is, well, the upcoming Bitewings games. Again, you know me, right? Like, they have a type, and apparently I am their type, or they're my type. You know what I'm saying on this channel. Don't take yourself too seriously, or you'll never get out alive. The upcoming campaign in June for them, Knizia. But nope, folks. Pause. Tile laying. Whoa, tile laying. But then also 2-player, more of an abstract style situation. A dual game campaign. And we have Ikor and Iliad. 2 games based on the Trojan War-esque Greek mythology style of things. One, Iliad, where you're trying to get the favor of the gods, laying down tiles 1 to 5, creating rows and columns that are filled in when you place yours next to other people's to get the favor of the gods, and you have to get enough favor from enough different gods in order to win. But if you don't, you get the most points based on the rows and columns that you score. Right? Because, you want to be going up against, either Hector or Achilles, right? That's what you're taking sides on in this one. So that's intriguing. The other one, actually, is a remake of a previous one called Tiku. And this is, well, taking on the monsters or the Greek gods. And what you're doing is you just move your creature, god, in a straight line. You basically just trail it with tiles laying everything you crossed. And you have a certain number of them out, and you're just going back and forth trying to cover up your opponents and get all of yours out as the first person to do so. So I'm intrigued by both of these. I like the idea of both of these because low overhead, dynamic complexity for strategy on the actual gameplay, and 2-player abstract style situations. I love it. Speaking of other companies I love, Level 99 just announced their next major project is coming in the fall of 2024, so we're a little ways off. But all we know is the name, Spooktacular. Again, don't take yourself too seriously. I think that's the problem with our hobby as a whole. Like, way too many people take themselves way too seriously. Like, this is like life or death when they talk about, reviews and other things. Anyway, again, I don't know what I'm talking about anyway. So you are a monster, and an all-night Spooktacular film festival is running. And then cinematic monsters come to life from the movies, and you get to basically terrorize moviegoers and devour them, apparently, too. So I have no idea what this entails. I mean, the Board Game Geek description has no mechanics whatsoever. It's got 1,000 followers over on Kickstarter, and not a whole lot of other information. You're just wreaking havoc with variable player powers is the only mechanic listed. So I have a type, right? So we don't stray too far from that. Speaking of my type, though, the other one of my type is Unstoppable. This is the upcoming Renegade Games Studios crowdfunding on the 18th of June as a solo or cooperative deck builder from John DeClaire, right? Roguelite momentum deck builder is what they're going for here. Awesome card crafting mechanism. 3 unique bosses. Okay, Renegade. That's the one thing I'll say. I've not seen necessarily as much from these last 2 companies, Renegade and Level 99, to make me definitively get it on crowdfunding, right? You know me, I love Exceed. I shout Exceed from the rooftops. I literally stand on my roof and go, Exceed! Exceed! And then the neighbors are like, shut that, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And then also, Bullet, right? On my wish list most desired from earlier this month. And again, with this, right? Renegade Studios. Of why am I going to get it on crowdfunding, though? Both of them have offered slight deluxifications, foils with some of the Level 99 stuff, miniatures, and a little bit of upgrade components on Renegades as well, but nothing to say, you need to get this from that aspect, right? And this has a cool sci-fi based theme, and it just kind of gives me good vibes overall. Roguelite, again, gives me, a little bit of Slay the Spire, a little bit of Children of Morta, and you're basically going through 3 worlds and using your deck building to face these threats, whatever they may be. Again, not a whole lot of details. The only thing that's out there so far is a Man vs. Meeple preview video. So you can check that out. But I'll tell you right now, when I do the upcoming video for my top ones of June, it's going to be on that list because I'm intrigued by deck building. You know I love deck building. But it's got to be more incentive-wise than, say, Slay the Spire or Dead Cells to get me over there. And I don't care about theme. Put out a good freaking gameplay product and I'll end up with it in my collection. Again, just like the debate yesterday with Regicide Legacy, right? It's going to end in my collection. It's just a matter of when and how. So those are my thoughts on that. But let's just stay with expansion content here because we're going to go right back over to White Castle. Not the burgers. We're not doing that. We're not doing the whole movie vibe thing, right? Got to talk about board game stuff, Chris. You can't talk about non-board game stuff on your board game channel. It's no fun. I'm not going to... Anyway, White Castle, controlling your clan, scoring the most victory points. One of the premier games of 2023. One of the most sought after, highly well thought of, light to medium weight Euro. Again, I'm putting that out there as a generalization. Don't at me in the comment section because you don't agree with the exact weight of something, right? Well, you're getting a matcha expansion, more influence, because we're going tea room. I drink matcha. Do you drink matcha? Are you familiar with the green tea that's sort of distilled down and powdered finely so that you mix it up with hot water and then you sip it, but you have to have a special mixing tool in the first place because you can't use a regular whisk because otherwise it doesn't actually get well incorporated into the water and you get clumps. Did you need to know that? No. Am I going to tell you useless stuff like that on my board game channel? Because it's my channel? Yeah, because it's fun too. You're going to get a new court and you're going to have new members of your clan. You got to get good seats in the tea room. I'm not mispronouncing that tea room word. Get more influence. 1 additional action each round. Will it be enough? I don't even have the base game. It's one of those that I said, like, everyone's tried and I couldn't rank because I never got a copy of the base game to begin with. So, I mean, it seems like it's just adding just enough from that side of things. So color me intrigued, a white way, a green way, whatever you want. And go from there. And side tangent, right? Like I'm leaving the gym the other day and like there's these little kids, not little kids, but they're little kids compared, right? They're probably like 10 or 12 and they're sitting outside the bench on the YMCA and they're shouting at people walking by, every person that walks by, go blue or go green, like and as an accusation almost, right? Like to test your allegiance, because I live in Michigan, if you're not familiar, right? When you're new with this channel. So obviously referring to go green, Michigan State, go blue, Michigan. And like, you know, it's a big rivalry, right? And so they shouted at me as I'm walking past them, leaving the gym, right? Like I'm leaving the gym. I'm not there to socialize. I'm there to work out and then peace out and get home. And they're like, go blue or go green. You can see them just like waiting there, ready to pounce if you say the wrong answer. And I'm like, without hesitation, without breaking stride, neither. And you can see that's just this pause of just like sheer, like, what do we say now that he didn't actually respond to our prompt? And they're like, second later, you can't say that. Like, too bad, I'm already like 10 feet past them, right? Peace out. That's what you get on this channel. Now, not to be outdone, CMON just decided to also formally announce, well, Dune War for Arrakis, my sweet love that I have yet to obtain, well, now will be much easier to get in my grasp because they're doing a reprint over on GameFound. But is it going to be more like the Dead Keep? Or is it going to be more like the other stuff, actually crowdfunding? Because if you go over to the page right now, there's a pre-order button. Now you click it and nothing happens. It brings you down to the bottom of the page where nothing is present. But that's another interesting twist. Is this just going to be a pre-order, system? Again, haven't heard hide nor hair from GameFound saying what the dealio is up with the pre-orders, right? Like, why are you allowing people to pre-order? What's the deal with the pre-orders? Are you going to be a pre-order official website? Is that your differentiation from Kickstarter? Is that the deal that was made with some of these big companies, right? Like I mentioned previously, you've got Serious Pulp doing the Kickstarter exclusive signing, dealing with crowdfunding campaigning over there. You've got CMON and Mindclash officially signed over to GameFound. This is basically NIL of board games, right? Who can pay the companies the most to go their way or incentivize, right? Whatever you want to say. Now, I wonder if now this was happening even before these official things kind of came out, or if there was any talk of that, right? Sort of like college basketball and college football, right? That didn't happen before it was official, right? Sports fans, you know what I'm talking about. There was nothing shady going on there. I'm being facetious. There's nothing probably going on here whatsoever. But it just makes me again wonder. There are no details of these sort of things, and just as a consumer curious person, I'm just kind of curious to what entices, or what gets a big company over. Because let's not kid ourselves, right? Just like our capitalistic society and other areas and realms of business, the bigger people, the bigger names, the bigger whatever get better deals, bigger incentives, just better all around. So I don't think this is any different from that aspect. But going back to the topic at hand, it is going to be offering all of the exclusives. Even it looks like they're going to be separating out, if you pull the page, exclusives if you just bought the retail edition. Because there were a couple of people moaning that already in the comment section there, that they only got the retail edition, just got it, and now they're going to... Nope, you can get all the other content as well. But the question is, again, with the 2 expansions, I think the Merchants and the Space Guild, whatever it is, I forget. You can get those at retail. You can't get the playmat, but that's also going to be available. But what's the price difference going to be? Because again, to get those expansions, which are widely available more so at retail, is it going to actually behoove you, especially with the relatively high CMON shipping costs? Or are you better off? This is going to be the very good test of the market, right? When it goes up, are you better off actually just getting the retail version, paying a slight premium for that, and saving the $50 or so it's probably going to cost you on shipping from CMON, if you can get the free shipping from one of the local places and pay the difference just to get the exclusives? There are going to be new content for Atreides and the Harkonnen available, though. I think they said at least 2 units, at least showing on the page right now, for each faction to give more of a tactical experience. I don't know why I went to Sean Connery there. It's my go-to, I guess. Again, right here, right? This is a pre-order. At least they're calling it a pre-order. And last chance, coming soon. Dead Keep ending. Here you go. You get the Freeman Sand Riders and the rocket launchers and the Ornithopters and the Troopers. So last chance to get the original exclusives, which makes you, again, wonder. Wording, right? Marketing, folks, is very specifically done. The original exclusives. Are there going to be extra exclusives on this campaign? Box with only the stretch goals, the smugglers, the playmat, the plastic tokens. Okay. There's all the big people talking about it that have better opinions than I do. And there's the cool art to go along with it as well. So there you go. That's what it's got going on too. So check that out. But seriously, does that entice you to get it more? Are you more interested in it now? I mean, plenty of people have said it's an amazing game that you should own that you're never going to play. Ha! You don't have too many of those, do you? But, we'll see. Gosh, I thought I was out. No kidding, folks. I thought I was out. You guys have heard me talk about this one in the past on my wish list, and I thought I was completely over it because I said, you know what? If I can't get the exclusives, I'm okay with completely missing out. I'm completely not going to FOMO it, and it's just going to be one that I just pass on, and I'm okay with that. And now, just when I think that I'm out, they drag me back in. It's going to cost me a ton of money, isn't it? Then the other announcement, which was Arcane Wonders announcement, not an expansion, but a redo. A 2019 Japanese game, Arclight Games, put out a game called Ito that you're probably not familiar with, as a cooperative social deduction game where everybody has their own secret number and you have to try and figure out what they have and put them in order based on clues that you can give according to the theme, between 1 and 100. Well, then they redid it with the rainbow version with Arclight Games. And then now Arcane Wonders is porting it over to North America as a Tom Vassell Dice Tower Essential. I'm just reporting the news. I have no clue, right? Communication, limited communication, cooperative, pass-fail system, card-based, sort of the mind combination, right? So one of those games that you look at and you go, why didn't I think of that? But, they're bringing it over. They want you to want to have it. So they announced it, and we're going to see where it goes in the near future, and if it's going to be on the Hotness now in North America side of things. There's plenty of Japanese games. You've heard me shout and rant on that too, of things that can be picked up and be hits over here. So is this another one of those? We'll see. Then up on the news side of things, we also have Paizo, the people behind Pathfinder, announced a new deck builder in combination with Catalyst Game Labs called Runefire. based on, well, obviously the Pathfinder universe. Crowdfunding campaign sometime later this year. There's not a whole lot of information on the game. A couple news sources around the internet have some just vague details of basically choosing your race, equipping with your, well, equipment that you'd expect, leveling up, getting more stuff, equipment, feat, levels, all of those things, utilizing, this is where it gets tricky, right? The same sort of style of engine that Crossfire did for Shadowrun and Dragonfire for Dungeons and Dragons. Let's be clear, Shadowrun underachieved. Dragonfire was a hot mess. I can say that as someone who owned Dragonfire, wanted to love Dragonfire, tried to force a square-fitting peg of Dragonfire down round friends and family's maws, and it did not fit. It was just not well executed, especially at the lower player counts, and at the higher player counts, it became a cluster frack and shoot. And you couldn't almost like pay people to take it from you. And again, was it that bad? No. Did it come anywhere near what it should have with the mechanics that were unique and creative in it in the first place? No. And I would say it horribly underachieved in terms of what the expectations were. And so I need to see something better with this. I need to see the issues with those previous two actually ironed out, and not just a copy paste system with a different theme now that you've got Pathfinder instead of D&D. That is something that's just going to piss me off if it's the case. It reminds me of that other one that did sort of the same style of things in terms of the potential, the possibility, the aspects of things, the cool thematic incorporation called Apocrypha. You remember that Lone Shark Games disaster of a frickin' thing, right? Such good potential, and I dare say the worst rule book ever in the history of board games. Slightly dramatic, slightly hyperbole, slightly the truth at the same time. And before anyone jumps in the comment section, I had almost 20 plays of Dragonfire under my belt. So I know what I'm talking about when I say it did not hit the mark there. So will this one? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Now that we've sorted out the news from the past week, let's go now the opposite direction, forward towards the upcoming week. What is upcoming crowdfunding? What are you going to see me talk about on next Friday on the crowdfunding roundup? First up, Yonder. Yonder. In the line of Moon and Villages, the one-word games from Sinister Fish. Fantasy-esque worker placement. Embargo must be still going on with this game so far because Board Game Geek got nothing over on it, or people just haven't posted on there and they're posting on YouTube and Instagram and elsewhere. So we'll see. Gosh, I cannot get over Apocrypha now. I should not have looked that up and reminded myself about that. There's no details. No details otherwise on Board Game Geek knowing about Yonder. And so we're going to see what Sinister Fish has in store from us from that side of things with an engine build aspect. Then we also have launching the same day the Feudum reprint, the 7th anniversary of Feudum reprint with a whole bunch of Feudum stuff. And for some reason, I don't know. Is it just me? Like every time I think of Feudum, I always think of Cones of Dunshire, right? Like just every time. Every single time. Those two are like, you know, GameFound and CMON, just always like this together for me. Sorry, just kidding. You can't, that's the thing about this hobby. You can't have fun with any of these topics, you know? Otherwise, I got people telling me that, you know, this sacred cow, you can't joke about this. You can't joke about paid previews. You can't joke about anything. Like, everyone takes themselves so freaking seriously all the time. Anyway, side tangent there. Masters of the Universe, Archon Studios, Battlegrounds. So there's skirmish style of Masters of the Universe. Like, why Masters of the Universe, though? That just boggles my mind. Of so many cool freaking IPs out there, we're going to back like the 80s with CMON and Archon and all of these things, right? Like, why? There's so much cooler stuff. Is it just because it's so much more cost expensive? That's the only thing I can go into. And so Battlegrounds is going to be going over to, you know, GameFound again. I think it's more widely available, though. I don't think they shipped it all worldwide. So we're going to see more of that potentially as well. And then also launching simultaneously on GameFound that week is going to be Call of Killforth. The World of Killforth is just like, supposedly, some people were rumoring, some people were just guessing that they're going to try and sell a lot of their backstock over on GameFound. I don't know if that's the case, if they have something new in store. Creel Manor, their more recent one, All or Nothing right now. And so we're kind of waiting to see what else they kind of have in store. But apparently maybe even they're going to have the other ones, like the 4 numbered digit year games, like 1066, 1565, that sort of thing too. Wyvernmore, that was the one. I knew I was blanking on the other game for them. Wyvernmore, the one that's upcoming as well. So maybe some news will leak out about that one as well, because I'm really more intrigued about that one. So we'll see. That one is also launching simultaneously on that date. Then the remake of Hannibal and Hamilcar, Rome versus Carthage, one of the ones that we saw featured recently in the Game Found Feast from a month or two ago, is also going to be launching on the 14th. This is a actually older game than you might suspect, 1998, 20th anniversary in 2018, and now a new edition coming to Game Found. What's going to be new? What's going to be different? And as a war game from Phalanx, well, we'll see. I mean, the 2018 version actually has an 8.3 rating as a whole, so that's pretty freaking good for area majority civ and, you know, battling style of things. You're competing for dominance in the Mediterranean, the two largest conflicts in the history of the ancient world, the Punic Wars. And if you have one of the two previous editions, they can basically upgrade either way. And if you want to get more of it with metal stuff to go alongside of it, you can with either one of these. So key features, I mean, the Game Found page has actually got a decent amount of information, arguably, of what's going to be new and what's going to be different, but also the price points right now of each of these games are going to be at least $50 a piece, and metal miniatures are going to be like $100. So that's a ton of money to spend on a game that you need to know whether or not you're even interested in the first place, from the original style of Avalon Hill or more recently from Phalanx. So we'll see, but that's a tougher penny than I was expecting in terms of actual dollars and cents. So what do we got going on the hot? So now that we're past the upcoming crowdfunding, what's been on the hotness that I already haven't talked about? Well, we talked about the White Castle expansion. We didn't talk about it, but we talked about it last week. Sand, the heavy sort of pick up and deliver from De Vere that's making sand waves. And then Harmonies, which is still going strong on the hotness with like a Cascadia meets Arc Nova style vibe. It's out of print. Sorry, not out of print. It's out of stock. That's a completely different aspect of things. Out of stock everywhere online because people are snapping it up because they don't want to be left behind. Ice, which we talked about earlier in the week, because I did my review of the upcoming edition of Ice from This Way, and I was relatively pleased by it. Slay the Spire is still killing it on there, still trying to trade for a copy. Feudum, which we just talked about a second ago. Arcs, which is going to be sometime delivering probably, I'd say, the beginning of June rather than the end of May here. The Oath new expansion, new foundations. Bus with Capstone's reprint that we covered earlier last month. And, well, a little bit of everything else that's already kind of usually there. Your Brasses, your Spirit Islands, your Arc Novas, all of those things. So that's it. That's what we got going on today. I mean, again, not a whole lot on the hotness here to talk about that we already didn't cover, which is kind of new. Usually there's a couple smatterings there. Usually it's not always related to the news, but the high overlaying in terms of clicking is going on right now. So, spoilers. Right after filming this, I think I'm going to be filming a separate video that's going to be talking about a very interesting topic. We've covered it several times in several different ways already, but we're going to talk about paid content again. I know you guys are going, oh, Chris, I don't want to hear you talk about this again. But no, wait, I had this thought earlier today, right? And someone's going to steal this if I put it out there, but I'm going to put it out there anyway right now at the end of this video because only like 4 of you are watching anyway. So I thought about this, right? The issue that people always get upset about with paid content, right, is that people are getting paid. Like, you don't want to hear paid reviews. You don't want to hear paid previews. But I'm looking at it in a new light. I'm looking at it as people aren't paying for your previews. People get upset at the thought of people getting paid for their opinions because they're not truly, unbiased. Spoilers, no one's unbiased. That's a whole different topic. That might talk about in the video too. But what we're now seeing, I'd argue, is more of people being paid to not give opinions, right? Just think about that. Just that slight twist of how it's going. We're being paid to not tell you our opinion on it rather than being paid to have our opinion on it. Is that weird to you? The more you think about it like that, you'd almost rather have someone paid to talk about it and give an opinion on it, wouldn't you? In some ways, as opposed to basically, because again, I guess where I'm going with this at the slight tangent here is that a lot of the paid stuff you also don't see reviews on as well, right? Like the Venn diagram of the people that do the paid content on a game and then do a review on the game is not as overlapping as you may think. It happens, just not nearly as much. Just food for thought that I just kind of ran across the other day. So full video on that to follow. That's all I got. Spoilers, no one better steal that idea. If you steal that idea, I'm going to be pissed at you. I won't know it because I don't watch other people's stuff that often at all, but I'll be pissed at you in theory. You can, be knowing that I'm going to be mad at you. I'm done talking because I can't talk anymore, apparently. So that's all I got. Have a great freaking fantastic day. I'm at a soccer game at the time you're watching this. Hopefully, my 10-year-old will have fun. That's all I got. Happy Mother's Day. Peace out. See you around. Stay classy.